going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Diego Colley Football Show. College football week 1 is in the books. NFL week 1 this week. Today, we're going to get into a week 1 recap, talking about those ranked matchup games that happened over the weekend. We're going to talk some winners and losers across the weekend. And then we're going to do a Seattle Seahawks extended preview. Really excited for that. Going to talk for a while about the Hawks. And then we're going to look at the rest of the NFC at a glance. And then we're going to wrap up today's show. So, getting into it, we'll start with the number 1 game of the week, Texas-Ohio State. And the story of that game is Arch Manning. He's not who the national media hyped him up to be. I kind of touched on this on last show. We didn't really know who Arch was. Obviously, his last name's Manning, so everyone was saying this guy's going to be a number 1 pick. Way overhyped. He shows up and obviously it's his first start on the road, so you're going to have to give the guy some grace, but he looked flat out pretty bad. First play of the game, he underthrows a corner route by about 10 yards, and he kind of just looked shaky all day. His throwing motion looked a little rough, in my opinion. He had no zip on the ball. He was floating things out there, and obviously on the other side of the ball, Julian Sayin, his first start too, he wasn't outstanding by any measures, but I think he did his job. All he has to do is manage this Ohio State offense, not turn the ball over, and that's exactly what he did. He was 13 for 20, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 turnovers. Arch was 17 for 30, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Another interception that should have been picked off was a dropped pick, but Arch was 10 for 38 on the ground, and I think it's a big disappointment in Arch and Sark in this game, quite frankly. It was pretty hard to watch. I don't quite understand why Sark kept just running Arch between the tackles. Like, I understand he's a good runner. He is a great athlete, but if you watch the Colorado-Georgia Tech game, which we'll touch on a little later, Haynes King is a unit. That guy's big. He can run between the tackles. He can take the hits. He can break tackles, run through linebackers. I don't quite think that's the athlete that Arch Manning is. He's very fast, great athlete, but I don't know if he can take it in between the tackles that much. He needs to be more outside, more read option instead of just, that goal line sequence. I think it was the second quarter when they ended up getting stopped on the 1. I believe it was 3 plays in a row. It was Arch, quarterback power, straight down the middle. Like, you need to get some variance. I like getting them out on the outside. And that was that's where Texas fell last year in the red zone. They had 2 drives in the red zone, get stopped, and that completely changes the game. It's a 14-7 game. Both the defenses, quite frankly, dominated. If you score there on that 4th and 1, on that 1st and goal when you have it inside the 10, I think there's a good chance that settles him in. You can rely on your run game a little more. Wisner was really good. So was Baxter. They were running the ball, but when they got behind, they were down 14 in the 4th quarter, then you have to go a little bit one-dimensional, and that's when, quite frankly, Arch had a majority of his passing. 17 for 30 is bad, but he was, at the end of the game, he was having to drop back, and that's for his majority of his yards. I don't think he cleared 50 yards passing before we got to the 4th quarter. So that was pretty disappointing, but I think you also have to talk about that Ohio State defense. That secondary was that's definitely the best secondary in the country. Matt Patricia in his first game at Ohio State did an outstanding job. They had him bottled up, and that's props to them. It's a week 1 game. Like, both teams are coming into it. It's a really tough game to start for both of them, but that Ohio State defense was ready, and so was the Texas defense. But that's just what it comes down to. In Ohio State, they made the plays they needed, the 2 turnovers. They made the big stops. And that's what it comes down to. 0-1 start for Texas. I don't think this changes much. Like, realistically, I think Arch will be fine. I don't know if he's not going to win the Heisman. I don't think he's going to be that great. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. He's not going to win the Heisman. He might get himself there. And let's take a look at their schedule. They got San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. So you have an easy next 3 games at home before they go on the road at Florida and then take on Oklahoma at home. So he needs to use next 3 games just to get comfortable in the passing game again. I want to see Sark make him throw the ball, because when you go into the swamp on October 4th, that's not going to be an easy game. So he needs to find himself. He has the talent. We know that. He wasn't the number 1 quarterback in the country for a reason. So he just needs to settle down. They need to change the game plan a little bit, in my opinion, but I think Texas is going to be okay. On the Ohio State front, though, this is an outstanding way to start the season. You're happy with what you saw from Sayin? I thought he looked great as a drop back passer, to be honest. I thought he looked polished. He was pretty accurate, in my opinion, and he definitely outdueled Arch. He didn't have to do much. Like, he threw the ball 20 times. They relied on the run game. CJ Donaldson, 19 for 67. James Peoples, 10 for 20. Like, they didn't have to do that much. I mean, obviously, you'd like to see more from Jeremiah Smith, 6 for 43, a few drops on that one of those first drives. That Cardinal Tate touchdown catch was great. He's one of the best 2 receivers in the country. He's one of the best receivers in the country, period. So the fact that you have him as your number 2, I mean, that's just all you can say about Ohio State's roster. So, yeah, I think that their secondary is the best secondary in college football. And, I mean, that showed. It's only going to get better. They got a few games at home, I believe, coming up before they go to UW on the road. Should be a fun one. All right, let's get into the next game that we're going to talk about, Clemson LSU. I'm going to have to bite the bullet a little bit. I was really hyping up Clemson on last episode, and I don't think this fully changes, like, the big picture of it. Like, I think that they're obviously still going to make the playoff. They play a pretty rough ACC schedule, so there's no excuse for them not to win the ACC and make the college football playoff. But this was a game that they really should have won. I mean, 17-10 at home. You got Nussmeier and Brian Kelly coming on. I got to talk about Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier, I think, is clear quarterback 1 in the class. He looked poised. He looked comfortable out there. It didn't really look like the environment affected him. I mean, 28 for 38. He was letting it fly. And I think he covered up a lot of Brian Kelly's shorthandedness. I'm not really going to hate on Brian Kelly, but I think that without Garrett Nussmeier, they obviously don't win this game. But yeah, he was special. He was great on Saturday. And Cade Klubnik was disappointing. 19 for 38, 230 yards in the interception. They have a chance. They're driving down at the end, a chance to tie that game up. 8 carries for 1 yard. Obviously, there's some sacks that come into that. I got sacked twice, so he wasn't really doing much on the ground. But I think you just got to be better. I mean, there was a lot of hype coming in for Clemson, and that's disappointing. Obviously, it's a tough first game, but you have it at home. You have it in Death Valley. Home team, like, the crowd on your side. Defense does its job, holding the 3 up 10 to 3 at halftime. Give up 2 touchdowns, and 0 points in the second half. That's what can't happen. You cannot go 0 points in the second half. Let's take a look at their second half drives here. Missed field goal to start it. Interception, punt, 3 and out. Turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs. Like, that's just not good enough. And then, I mean, defense gives up 2 touchdowns, but I mean, there was a lot long drives that they gave out an 8-play, 69-yard touchdown drive, and then LSU misses a field goal. But they kept you in that game, and you have to score more than 10 points at home in Death Valley. And also note, I would like to see him run the ball a little more. Adam Randall, 5 carries for 16 yards and a touchdown. Only 20 carries as a team, and that includes Klubnik's 8. Like, that's not good enough. They let LSU run the ball, 17 carries for 74 yards, Caden Durham, 1 touchdown. You should rely on that a little bit more. I don't think there's any reason for Cade Klubnik to be dropping back 38 times, 19 to 38. Get your running game involved a little more. That's a big part of it. I don't think there's much that falls on Dabo. This Clemson defense is good. Again, I don't think this doesn't change how I feel about them. I still think that they're a national title contender, but definitely a disappointing start to the season in a game that was definitely winnable for them. All right, now we have to talk about the big disappointment. I would say the story of the week. Kalen DeBoer in Alabama going in, laying an egg in Tallahassee, 31-17, in a game that they got flat out dominated. All the talk was they got their quarterback, Ty Simpson. They got a guy who can run the offense the right way. Tommy Castellanos coming in, talking his talk, and he shows up. Only goes a 9 of 14, 152 yards, but carries the ball 16 times, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. And they just dominated. If you flipped on this game, that you wouldn't have thought that Florida State was the 14-point underdog at home. Alabama looked sloppy. They didn't look ready. There was clips at an effort on defense was low. You got guys loafing around out there, coming across, jogging across the field. Like, that's not Alabama. And you just got to think Saban was watching that game just pissed off because he leaves Kalen DeBoer one of the best rosters in college football, and it has turned into an absolute dumpster fire in 2 years, and I don't think this isn't going to get easier. I mean, if we're looking at their schedule, it's not easy. They have UL Monroe next week. That's a win. And then you have Wisconsin. Going to be a scrappy game. Then you go at Georgia. I don't think they're beating Georgia. I don't think they're beating any of these SEC ranked teams they're going to play. I mean, Missouri's going to be a tough game. We saw Bro Purdue look really strong this week. Tennessee, we'll talk about later, looked great at South Carolina. And you got LSU and Oklahoma at home. And then you got the Iron Bowl. If this is the team that we're going to get, I don't think that this is a team that, 6, 7 wins, maybe. But it was rough. I mean, I saw a stat this morning. Ryan Williams hasn't had a 100-yard receiving game since that Georgia game last year. And I went to look back at the stats. He only had one other 100-yard receiving game. And it was the first game of the season that year. He hasn't caught a touchdown since they played Mercer late last year. He was probably a bit overhyped. Kai Simpson looked pretty shaky. I mean, there was that play late in the game. They need a touchdown drive, 4th and 7. He's rolling out to his left. He has 15 yards of daylight in front of him. He tries to force the ball into a tight window, and they don't get it. Like, just little stuff like that you wouldn't see from a Nick Saban team that, it's happening, and it's just quickly went downhill. I wouldn't be surprised if Kalen DeBoer doesn't make it out of the season, to be honest. This is Alabama football we're talking about. These guys, these fans don't know what to do about a bad football team. They don't know what they're watching. If this continues, they lose a few more regular season games mid-season, I think they can see them kicking them to the curb. Because this just isn't acceptable. Effort wasn't acceptable. It's not like they're playing hard and they lose. Like they did not look prepared at all. You got Caden Proctor out there, who was supposed to be one of the best left tackles in the country. He looks out of shape. He's getting beat on the inside. He's getting manhandled. I mean, Ty Simpson, 23 of 43, 254 yards. Jeremy Bernard was good, 8 for 146. But after that, Ryan Williams, 5 for 30. Exited the game. He's in concussion protocol right now. Like, that's bad. No real run game. They were running the ball pretty good to start that game, and they kind of just abandoned it, which is weird. The passing game wasn't high powered. You got to rely on the run game. It was wet out there. It was rainy. It was gross in Tallahassee, and they just abandoned the run game. If you're a Seahawks fan, you saw that a lot with Ryan Grubb last year. So yeah, I think it could. It's already ugly, and it could get worse rapidly fast. And for the last game of the week, the last big game of the week, Miami, Notre Dame. I'm surprised out of this game. I don't think it changes how I feel about Notre Dame. They looked good. That's a great team. They scored 17 in the fourth quarter. That's Marcus Freeman. His team's never going to quit. I was real impressed with Carson Beck. 20 of 31. He handled the offense, didn't put the ball in harm's way. We got to talk about that one insane touchdown catch. I believe it was CJ Daniels. That probably would have been picked off, but you can't hate on that play. It's an insane play. Carson Beck also escapes some pressure, puts it up in a place where his guy can get it. He comes out with that great one-handed catch. But Miami ran the rock well, man. 15 carries, Mark Fletcher, 66 yards. 15 carries, Shamar Brown, 54 yards. 1 touchdown for him. And I think the weirdest part of this is Jeremiah Love, 10 carries for 33 yards. 4 receptions for 26 yards. You have one of the best athletes in the country. You have your quarterback who's playing in his first career start. He weathered some storms, but how do you not rely on your best player? Like, put the team on. Like, give him the ball. Let him take the team where it's going to go. CJ Carr always started a little slow. He had that great touchdown pass in the second quarter, I believe. And then he started to turn it on towards the end. I think he showed some good things. He's got a good arm. But the interception also wasn't really his fault. But you can't. They're kind of just throwing him to the fire. I think you got to give your best player the ball more than 10 times, 4 times through the air. You got to see if he can get going. So if he gets going, that's hard to stop. You let Miami, who I was talking, Miami out physical Notre Dame, which is kind of the opposite of what I expected to happen. But yeah, I don't think it changes necessarily. I think Notre Dame's still going to be a good team. They're still going to be in the playoff. They're playing that non-conference schedule. CJ Carr's only going to get better. I hope that they would. I think Marcus Freeman's going to learn from this game. He's a smart guy. He's going to rely on Jeremiah Love more, get him the ball more, let him make things happen for this team. And Miami, this is a great win for them. Coming down the ACC, it's going to come between. I think it's now going to come between them and Clemson. But Carson Beck looked good. I think a lot of people were hating. He got a lot of hate for how things ended at Georgia, but he was the top ranked quarterback for a reason. He has the skills there, and he played well. He didn't put the ball in harm's way. 2 passing touchdowns. this was a good game for him, and I think they're only going to grow on this. So a good win for Miami, not the worst loss for Notre Dame. If we're talking about like how losses come, I think Clemson's loss is way worse than this. I think I'd probably say Texas is just based on what was shown out there. Like everyone, this is going to be a good Notre Dame team. They're only going to get better. I don't know if the expectations were obviously the expectations for CJ Carr weren't there as they were for Arch, but they'll be there at the end of the season, and they're gonna be fine. Marcus Freeman is gonna have his team. They're gonna be okay. All right, we're gonna talk about some winners and losers from Week 1 of college football, and then I'm gonna touch on the Washington Huskies 38-21 win over Colorado State. So first winner, I think Tennessee and Joey Aguilar. Obviously, we talked last episode about the pretty much trade. Joey Aguilar coming from UCLA, Dike Amaliava heading from Tennessee to UCLA. And this Tennessee offense looked high powered. I mean, he's 16 for 28, 247 yards, 3 touchdowns, though. They ran the ball 40 carries, 248 yards. Star Thomas, number 9, 12 carries, 92. Deshaun Bishop, 11 carries, 82 yards, 1 touchdown. This offense looked hard to stop. And I think Joey Aguilar executed the offense better than Nico was towards the end of last year. And I think Josh Heupel's looking at this like, man, I got a better quarterback, a guy who can run my system better. We saw the classic Nico in that game against Utah this week in UCLA, just making overthrowing guys over the middle, missing on easy throws. And that guy's gone out of the SEC, out of Tennessee. And I think Tennessee's in a better spot for it. They look good. Syracuse put up a decent fight. Steve Angeli, former Notre Dame quarterback, he played all right. First half was a little shaky. And I mean, they ended up losing by 19 to a good SEC team. I think they'll be fine. They'll be solid. Brandon Brown's got his team in a good spot. But Tennessee looked good. Another winner, I'm going to say Utah. Devin Dampier looked like a stud. He's a little potential Heisman dark horse, I'd say. He's going to be in the conversation if Utah's going to be good. They thoroughly dominated UCLA. Dampier looked like the athlete that I thought he was. Nico didn't have anything, 10 points in this game. I mean, it is a tough Utah defense, but this was never close. Dampier was efficient, 21 of 25, 206 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 16 carries on the ground, 87 yards, and 1 touchdown. They ran the ball 54 times for 286 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, 2 touchdowns through the air. Nico was 11 for 22, 136 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 13 carries, 47 yards. This was an ugly UCLA team. It was a hard watch. Utah looked good. Utah, I think, is my pick to win the Big 12. I think their team is stacked. I think they're loaded in the trenches. And Kyle Whittingham, he's going to have his team ready every week. It's never going to be an easy game. Even when his roster's not as good, he's going to play you tough. My first loser of the week, I'm going with Boise State. Boise State was a team in a lot of people's 12-man playoff. I would have them sneaking in as the group of 5 team, and they got just embarrassed, outclassed by South Florida. Byron Brown looked like a stud, 16 to 24, 210, 14 carries on the ground, 43 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. I had some doubts about Mattis Maxson going into this game. I think last year, watching the Boise State games, he never was the one to stand out. Obviously, you have Ashton Genty. You don't need your quarterback to stand out, but it seemed like he was just like a decent quarterback that he could handle it, like drive the ship with a stud running back. And without the stud running back, he can't. He's just an average group of 5 quarterback, in my opinion. 25 of 46, 225 yards, 1 touchdown. Not efficient. They had no run game. 38 rushes, 122 yards. Sire Gaines 9 for 44. Maddox Matson 11 for 31. He's only sacked once. They got embarrassed, and it's a tough. I thought it was a little bit of a trap spot for Boise going into South Florida. It's going to be hot, but to go out there and lay an egg, if you lose a close one like that, yeah, that's something. But to go out there and lay an egg like that, not good. And from the group of 5 point, you can probably use 1, maybe 2 games and sneak in. But now they pretty much have to win out in the conference, and I think the Mountain West is pretty weak, so they should be able to. But I mean, they're going to Notre Dame. That's going to be a loss. And you slip up in the conference game, and you're probably not going to make the playoffs. At this point, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they would do. I don't think this team is as good as people were saying they were. I don't think they have a guy that can carry them. They're not good enough to be like a well-rounded, good team to make the college football playoff. They'll be solid to win 8-9 games probably, but I don't think that they're as hyped up as people thought they would be. Another loser, I'm gonna say with Deion Sanders. I I had some not high expectations, but I was more optimistic about Colorado going in this game than other people, I think. And if you lose the game, Georgia Tech was good. Haynes King, he's a tough guy to tackle. But the way they lost it, this is a game you have to win. You win the turnover battle by 3, I believe. Georgia Tech turns the ball over on its first 3 possessions, and you only get 1 touchdown out of that. You got to be up by 2 scores after that. They go fumble, interception, and you are only up 7-0 after that. Caden Salter wasn't great. 17 to 28, 1 touchdown. He ran the ball 13 times for 3 yards and a touchdown. But you, quite simply, they didn't turn the ball over once. You win the turnover battle by 3 at home. That's a game you got to win. And then the end of the game was brutal. It's a tie game. They go down and tie it up. Salter has a good drive, ties it up. Georgia Tech goes down. Haynes King, just quarterback power every time. Can't tackle him. 19 carries for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's insane. You just gotta give him props for that. But they go down and score a minute left. You have 2 timeouts, and you end the game with 2 timeouts. Caden Salter runs up the middle with about 20 seconds left, beelines it to the outside to get out of bounds when you have 2 timeouts, wastes about 5 seconds doing that. Their first 2 plays, I believe, they started the drive with what? Let me see. They started the drive with 1:07 on the clock. And when they snapped the ball in their second play, there was 28 seconds after it. Third play, 18 seconds. And then he almost makes the throw of a century, that to Omarion Miller, about 65 yards in the air, misses it. But you got to give yourself a chance. It was just poor clock management. And how do you not? If you don't call a timeout the whole drive and you have 2 timeouts, everyone's exhausted, sprinting up and down the field. Just call a timeout before a Hail Mary, dude. You might as well give everyone some water, let them take a breath, discuss it. The Hail Mary throw, there was 1 guy in the area. And that's kind of just an unacceptable way to finish the game. If you lose, it's a really tough way to open it. First game without Shador and Shiloh, obviously. A lot of people thought they were going to lose this game, but to lose it like that, that's a game they should have won this game. And that's why it's so disappointing for Colorado there. All right, I want to talk about the Huskies. Have some notes here from the game. I think it was a good debut game. I definitely think there was a lot to be left out there, but the team looked strong. The offense looked good. Denzel, Damon, and Jonah Coleman are the people we thought they were going to be. They're studs. Jonah Coleman went 24 carries, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. That run at the end of the game was crazy. Didn't end up scoring on that play, but Damon went 13 carries for 68 yards, 18 completions, 24 attempts, 226, and 1 touchdown. He looked really good. His decision making was good, I thought. There was a few times where he thought he held on the ball a little too long. I think all 3 of those sacks I saw weren't credited to him. But I think the big thing, we know those 3 were going to be studs. The offensive line, especially in the run blocking, was great. They all graded out pretty well in PFF. Starting at left guard, I believe it was Mills, true freshman. He looked outstanding and one of the best grades on the team. 283 total yards rushing. John Mills, that's what his name. Graded in the 80s. Him, Drew Azzopardi, right tackle, also did. And this run game looked good. This team should rely on their run game, whether it's Damon and Jonah. They both need to be a threat. Because I think this team goes as far as Jonah Coleman on the ground because he's the workhorse. Give him the ball. His contact balance is insane. He just bounced off bowling ball. Denzel looked good, 5 receptions, 92 yards. One thing I do want to see a little more in these next few weeks before Ohio State, I want to see someone else step up in that receiving room behind him. Amari Evans, receiver out of Penn State, didn't play. He was questionable going into the game. But if you go behind Denzel, you had Adam Muhammad, our backup running back, 2 receptions for 38 yards. Desmond Roebuck, 2 receptions for 27 yards. Rasheed Williams was 4 for 27. Jonah Coleman, 1 for 22. Decker DeGraff, 4 for 20. I like Decker DeGraff. I think they can get him involved in the pass game a lot. He's a good tight end. But, we're going to need another receiver besides Denzel to be able to get open, make plays in space. Freshman Raiden Vines-Bright didn't get a single target, kind of disappointingly. He had a good camp and he get like 35 snaps and didn't get targeted. But I mean, they got 2 more weeks before they play Ohio State. There was a lot to build on. Got to talk about the defense. So the defense was the part that I was pretty disappointed in. There was a few drives where on like 3rd and 15 multiple times, and they give up a conversion. 14-14 at half. Like, that shouldn't happen. This is a solid Colorado State team. Like, they're tough, old. They're obviously a good veteran quarterback. They have one of the biggest as in size roster like groups in the group besides the Power 5, but the defense just needs to be better. I thought the pass rush was definitely lacking. I was expecting a lot more from them. Jacob Lane led the team in pressures and I believe TFL, so that he was a strong point of it. But Zach Durfee was a complete no-show. He had the most snaps on the team. He had 0 pressures, nothing on the stat sheet, which, I mean, they need him to be like a 5 to 10 sack guy. He was supposed to be the alpha of that room, and he kind of no-showed. So that was a little bit disappointing. But overall, second half was a lot better. After that first half, it was like, I need to see a little more. And they did show that. Like Denzel had that great touchdown catch. So a lot to work on. I want this defense to be dominant in these next 2 games before that home game at Ohio State. Offense looked great. I like Jed's play calling. I think it was improved. I like Damon is just a freak. He's fast. Like he's actually fast. He probably runs like what, 4.35, 4.4. He's not just quarterback fast. Good win for the Huskies. Good start to the season. On the next week for them. Okay, that's enough college football for the week. On to the NFL. Week 1, we made it. Going to talk about the Seahawks. Going to talk about other teams I like this year in the NFC. But first, have to talk about the blockbuster trade that went down last week. Micah Parsons to the Packers, 2 first-round picks, and Kenny Clark. And all you can really say is, wow. I was of the camp, like a lot of people were saying the Seahawks should make a trade. I was fine with them not shelling out like the immediate short-term future for Micah Parsons. It's a bit of a head case. I don't really think he fits in the culture. And that's a lot of money for a guy. Like, I understand the type of player he is, but I was fine with the Seahawks not making the deal. I just honestly didn't really think he'd ever get traded. I thought this was going to be one of those things where he's just going back and forth, out and forth in public. They signed him probably I thought they'd get it done today, tomorrow, right before week 1, because they obviously play Thursday. And it didn't. I mean, props to Micah Parsons. He stood on his ground. He wasn't going to fold down for Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones just needs to, if I couldn't even imagine being a Cowboys fan. Like you're letting one of the best players in the league just, you're trading him. Like, that doesn't happen. He's like 25, 26, isn't he? Not even in the prime of his career, maybe. And you ship him off because he wants too much money. That's you drafted him, pay him what he is owed. Quite simply. Jerry still thinks it's like the 1980s and he can just run this team however he wants. He needs to be done. Like, with all due respect, like whenever he is no longer the owner and GM of the Cowboys, like I don't know if I don't think I see them winning anything. He's too stubborn. Himself, he can't let other people be right and make the decisions. It has to be Jerry's way, always. So that's all I have to say about that. I mean, I think if you're the Packers, it's worth it. They have a chance to dethrone the Lions and ends replacing both coordinators. And the Packers are a young team, youngest roster in the league. So I think it makes sense for them. The Cowboys, I mean, you get 2 first-round picks, but who knows? If the Packers are good, you're getting 2 back end of the first-round picks. And Kenny Clark, who's like, I mean, he'll be a good D lineman, but no one's replacing Micah Parsons. It's just puzzling to me how Jerry Jones is running that organization into the ground. But so yeah, I just had to touch on that. Let's talk about the Seahawks. I have to say, this is probably one of the most excited I've been going into a year in I don't know how long. Because I just feel like, I mean, last year I was excited, but first year with a new coach, like you don't know what you're going to get. Obviously, a lot of uncertainty too. Ryan Grubb, I was very excited. I thought he was going to be great to run the team. And I thought he was going to do a lot better than he did. But, like, you don't really know what to expect. It's a whole new organization, a whole new regime. A lot of people didn't think we were that good, which is the same this year. Don't really understand that. We'll get into that. But this year, you know what you're going to get. I feel like Mike McDonald, we are going to have a top 10, I think, top 5 defense in the league. They're only going to get better off of what they did last year. And we saw the flaws in this offense last year. We saw Geno. I don't know if I like Geno Smith, but I don't know if he's a guy that can lead a team to really make a deep playoff run. DK Metcalf had his flaws. I appreciated DK Metcalf, but I didn't want to pay him like Pittsburgh paid him. I don't think he's proven that he's obviously one of the best athletes in the whole league, but I don't think that he's proven that he is worth wide receiver 1 money when, he struggles to make contested catches. Sometimes he just disappears. He has stupid penalties, costs his team. So, yeah, I think that was the right call to get rid of them. And with that, you get draft picks to turn into Jalen Milroe, who is potentially the future, but I like that they're not throwing him in the fire because they don't need to. That's what I keep telling people. This doesn't need to be Jalen Milroe's team this year. I don't really want to see Jalen Milroe start this year because, in my opinion, if that happens, the year is probably lost. The only reason I can see Milroe starting this year is if Darnold gets hurt or they have a below average year and they want to see what the rookie has at the end of it. Sam Darnold, quarterback, led the league in passing touchdowns last year. I am very optimistic. I've talked to a lot of people recently. Oh, Sam Darnold's your quarterback. Oh, what do you think about Sam Darnold? And I think that if you have read into anything that the Seahawks are doing this offseason is, I don't think he's going to have to. We're not making Sam Darnold play like Geno Smith last year and throw the ball 40 times a game and you're dropping back every time and you have a really bad offensive line and you're in shotgun, you're going through regret. Like, I don't think that's what he's going to have to be doing. If you watch the preseason, we're under center. We got a fullback, play action, boots, just making the right decision. That's all that Sam Darnold has to do to be it. He just has to be a serviceable quarterback. I think he can make good throws down the field. Let it fly to JSN. Let it fly to Torrey Horton. But Sam Darnold doesn't need to throw for as many touchdowns as he did last year. If he throws for 20, 22, 25 touchdowns, keeps his interception number under 10, that's perfect. That's all you really need because this team doesn't go as far as Sam Darnold takes them. This team goes as far as the defense and the run game takes them. So we got to talk about the offensive line. Can they just be average? I think obviously in this new scheme, you got Clint Kubiak, John Benton, offensive line coach, overhauls the offensive line. Yeah, we spend a first round pick on an interior line, Gray Zabel, who's rave reviews is what everyone has said so far. Anthony Bradford, someone who a lot of people don't like. He supposedly had a good camp. He wins the right guard job over Christian Haynes. And you got to trust. You got to trust that he has made improvements. He's supposed to be in the best shape of his life. It's a great run blocker, which is what matters. Abe Lucas, a whole season of Abe Lucas. We don't have to deal with. I like Mike Terrell, but you start him starting a few games last year. We had, George Fant started, and then he gets hurt, and then we've got Stone Forsythe starting at right tackle. Don't have that. Abe Lucas, if he can be healthy, is a really good right tackle. Obviously, you got Charles Cross and Jalen Sundell, who wins the center job over Olu. I like that. Him and Gray Zabel back to playing together, roommates in North Dakota State. If this line can just be an average O-line and if we can have a top 15 rushing attack in the league, I think this team is built to win some football games, quite frankly. That's the model for success. Kenneth Walker, if he stays healthy, he's the difference maker for this team. But Zach Charbonnet, he's proven he's the exact type of backup you need behind Kenneth Walker. He's reliable. He's going to be there every game if you need him. If Kenneth goes down, we saw last year that Arizona game. Charbonnet, over 100 yards, breaks a long one. But he's obviously not the athlete that Kenneth Walker is. But the path to this team winning games is, let's talk about this defense. This defense, this is what frankly, I don't really understand. Everyone in the national media, the Seahawks are going to be fourth. The Seahawks are fourth in the division. The Seahawks are going to win like 5-6 games. Sam Darnold's their quarterback. Every time they talk about stuff like this, they traded DK Metcalf, they traded Geno Smith. They never talk about the defense. This defense was a top 10 defense in football last year and got better. They didn't lose anyone. They signed DeMarcus Lawrence, who's a leader on the edge. He's a veteran. He's a great run defender, which is really good for what they need. They signed Nicky Minowari, who's going to be an instant difference maker on the field. He's not going to have to start right away, which is good because he's a project type guy, but Mike Macdonald's creating a role for him, which is what I trust Mike Macdonald to do. He's going to put him out there. He's not going to have all these responsibilities of playing a free safety, playing a strong safety. He's going to put him in the big nickel. He can cover some guys, and he's going to use the athlete that he is to make plays and be a difference maker on the field. They still got a great secondary. I'm expecting a lot from the secondary. They got Devin Witherspoon, Julian Love, Kobe Bryant, Reek Williams, Josh Jobs still starting at corner. This secondary and this D-line should be the heart and soul of this defense. The only issue or concern I have is with the inside linebackers, and that's not with the guys that are starting. I love the guys that are starting. Tyrese Knight, really underrated, doesn't get talked about a lot. The rookie last year, I believe, 4th-round pick out of UTEP. Great athlete, great run defender. Ernest Jones, the acquisition of our whole year last year, honestly changes the whole dynamic of the year because we were stuck with Tyrell Dodson, Jerome Baker. Make the trade for Ernest Jones at mid-season from the Titans after the Rams had shipped him off to the Titans. And he was just instant changed the defense. Instantly changed the defense. But behind them is where I guess things get a little worrisome. Tyrese Knight I think he is practicing now, a game week, but he didn't practice the last few weeks of camp, didn't play in any preseason games. If he goes down, you stuck with maybe Drake Thomas starting at middle linebacker, which, I mean, no offense to him, but that's an issue for this team. If there's a guy that can go and get out there, inside linebacker depth, they did just sign Chris Paul Jr. I believe the Rams cut him. It's a young guy. That's a good person to have, but that's where this defense is lacking. These defensive line, Byron Murphy, he needs to take a big step in year 2. 1st-round pick last year. This is the time. You always give a little bit of a grace period for offensive defensive linemen, rookies, because obviously, like, that's the position where it's just physical. Unless you're playing against grown men in the NFL. Byron Murphy needs to take a bit of a step this year. Leonard Williams, you can't expect him to replicate the production he had last year, but he was a stud last year. He should have been an all-pro. You got Oye Mafe and Derek Hall, 2 young guys off the edge. I really like Derek Hall. I think he's a great pass rusher. And I think I really want to see a little bit more from Uchenna Nwosu. He has just struggled to stay on the field. Like, a lot of people forget like how good of a player he was when he was on the field, and he's just struggled. So obviously he was dealing with a bit of an injury through camp, but he's healthy and supposed to play. So if we can get just a decent Uchenna Nwosu that stays on the field and can come and get a good pass rush on 3rd down, that's a huge win. That's a huge win. And I think the tools are there for the defense. They should step up and be a top 5 defense. I don't think they should be top 10, but I think they should only get better. It's a young defense. If they can make the step up to a top 5 defense, this team sits on their back. We'll go back to the offense side a little bit. Receivers, really excited for Torrey Horton. Really excited to see it. We cut MBS. I think it was the right call because you don't need to pay MBS that much to sit on the sideline as a 4th receiver. Like, you need guys that can play special teams from that role. And the last thing I want to talk about the Seahawks, last thing I want to touch on before I give a little prediction, is this rookie class, dude. I think it's just very exciting. I think that we re-signed all 10, 11 guys that we drafted. Not all on the active roster. Like, Ricky White was put on the practice squad. But Elijah Arroyo, tight end, AJ Barner, great rookie year last year, more of a blocker. Elijah Arroyo, I think, can be definitely a game changer in the pass game. He's just a natural athlete. He just looks so smooth, just gliding. If I expect him to he's big too. Like, you can put him on the outside. He's not going to necessarily a guy. His blocking was a lot to work on at Miami, but this coaching staff's going to make him block. He's not just going to be a set receiver. I think that's a guy with a lot of high potential. Obviously, Milroe, I think everyone's excited. The thing about Milroe, like, compared to other rookie quarterbacks in different situations, like any year, like, usually you'll draft a guy, he won't start week 1. You're not going to see him. If you do, it's garbage time. The exciting thing about Jalen Milroe is he's going to be on the field in important snaps, and I think that, I mean, you can't replicate that. You can't you can put a wildcat out there. No one really does that, but having a guy who can come in 3rd and short, down and distance where the Seahawks struggled last year, and just having that added value of his legs, even if you put him in there, hands the ball off, just the fact of the boot, they have to sit, the end has to sit, a read option, a quarterback power. He's a guy that can run quarterback power behind this offensive line. And he can throw the ball. Like he can throw a deep ball. I think we're going to see that a few times because teams are going to commit to the run too much, and he's going to let it fly. I wonder how much we're going to get out of Cooper Kupp. Honestly, like, I feel like it was kind of a quiet camp for him, but it's Cooper Kupp. He's a gamer. I think him and Darnold are going to be on the same page a lot. That's a guy that Darnold's going to be able to rely on. And yeah, on the defensive side, Nick Emanwari, really exciting. That's one guy you can't wait to watch week 1 against the Niners. So let's look at the schedule. I mean, obviously, picked last in the division by a lot of people. A lot of people think they're going to be bad. A lot of people hating on Sam Darnold. Arguably, I was looking at this. I think the hardest 2-week stretch of the whole year is week 1 and 2. There's another one that rivals it, 2-game stretch. If you got week 7 and 9 with Houston and Washington, but there's a bye week in between that. You open it up against San Francisco, but I do think that I think they beat San Francisco. I think this is the time to play San Francisco. They got a lot of these vets, these old guys. Their D-line is not healthy right now. And they got Robert Saleh coming back in, wasn't there last year. Like, after a disappointing season, their wide receiver core is decimated. I don't even know if Jawan Jennings is going to play. They're going to have Ricky Pearsall getting the ball targeted 10 times in week 1. I think this is the time to play them. Like, what CMC are we going to get? Like, there's a lot of factors into it. And this is a team that I think obviously the talent is there. If they stay healthy and they get better throughout the season, they get healthy, it's a dangerous team. But playing them week 1 is the perfect start to this year, I think. I think the Seahawks are going to set the tone with the run game. They're going to show them we are here. This isn't a joke. We're taking over this division. And I think they win that game. Week 2 is it's such a trap. It's such a tough game. Going into Pittsburgh, DK Metcalf revenge game, Aaron Rodgers, who always plays the Seahawks well, and taking out last year's game, obviously, against the Jets. But, I mean, you see Aaron Rodgers on the opposite sideline. It's never going to be an easy game. And I think there's a lot of questions with Pittsburgh. Not a lot of receiver depth behind DK. But it's a tough week 2, 10 a.m. game traveling across the country. Like, that's never going to be an easy game. I'm not going to say win or loss. I'm not going to give win-loss position on each game, but that's a real tough game, especially after, the emotions are going to be high against San Francisco. A lot of energy expended on that game. It is just week 1. Mike Tomlin's a good coach. He's going to have his guys ready early in the season. Like, that's a tough game. And then you come home against New Orleans, you go to Arizona. I think those are both 2 games you should win. You, in history, own Arizona on Thursday night, but you played New Orleans week 4, one of the worst rosters in the whole year. Tampa Bay is going to be a tough one at home. Should beat Jacksonville. Houston's going to be a real tough game Monday Night Football. That defense, that pass rush could give the Seahawks real trouble. At Washington, going to be another tough one back-to-back. You do get a bye week before that game, which is a big win. The extra week to prepare. Get healthy after the first 7 weeks of the season. Week 8's a good bye week spot. You're versus Arizona. You're at LA. I mean, it all depends on Stafford. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more to the end of the show with the NFC. But how many games out of Stafford are you really going to get? Then you go to Tennessee. You should win versus Minnesota. What do you get from J.J. McCarthy? At Atlanta could be a tough one. I think Michael Penix is going to be great. So that's going to be a tough game, in my opinion. Versus Indianapolis, I mean, Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. Versus LA at home, I think you should win that game. And then you finish the game this season at Carolina, at San Francisco. I think, in all honesty, I think this team wins 10 to 11 games. The schedule is not that difficult, especially compared to last year. I think last year's schedule is much more difficult. And if this team does what they're supposed to do, if their identity is what we think it should be, relying on the top 10 to 5 defense, having a solid O-line and relying on that run game, this team, there's no reason this team shouldn't win 10 to 11 games to win the division. That's high expectations, but I think Mike McDonald's a great head coach. I think he is the right guy for the job. And I think he's a mastermind. I'm never going to not rely on Mike McDonald to scheme up a game plan to win a game with that young defense that he has. So that's my preview for the Seahawks. Really excited to get into game previews on Thursday, but I'm going to dive into a little bit more teams around the NFC now. All right, to finish the show, we're going to talk about some bounce around the NFC, talk about some teams I like and teams I don't, and then I'm going to cover the ASC on Thursday's episode. So, I mean, we'll start in the NFC West. So we just talked about the Seahawks, and I think that the big thing in the NFC West is the health of the old guys. If you go to we're talking about the Rams and the 49ers, the two overwhelming favorites to win the division. It just relies on their health of their team. Matt Stafford, I mean, genuinely, I'm not sure if he's going to play like 5 games this season. They keep saying he's healthy, it's his back, but with a back injury, older quarterback, well, I mean, one wrong hit, someone hits him off his blind side. He's trying to run, get the extra yard, takes a hit to the back. Like that's something that's you can't really play through that. Like I think that's shown. Like that is the function of his whole body. All the torque, throwing the ball, one tweak of it. And I mean, he could be done for the season. Same thing with the 49ers, super old roster. How many games is Christian McCaffrey going to play? How many games is Trent Williams going to play? Is Brandon Ayuk, when he's going to come back? Is Jawan Jennings going to play? It's all these guys that, I mean, yes, the roster looks good on paper, but will they stay healthy? You know, we go to the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals will be a dangerous team this year. They made strides last year, I thought, but eventually Kyler Murray's going to have to show something if he's that guy or if he's not that guy. I think they do believe he is. A lot of people are always high on him. I am a Kyler Murray fan, but I don't know. He needs to prove it. I think that offense has a chance to be real good. If Marvin Harrison needs to take a step, Trey McBride was great last year. He's shown that he is the reliable target Kyler Murray needs. And they need Marvin Harrison to be the number 4 overall receiver pick that he was drafted to be. He needs to stand out when he steps on that field. James Conner, I mean, this guy just keeps doing it, kind of defying running back age laws, but I mean, he's going to be there. He's going to run the ball hard. And I think the Cardinals they can play spoiler a little bit. I mean, I think the Seahawks win the division. If I had to pick between a team, the Niners or the Rams, I think the Niners, I don't know, dude, because like, I think Sean McVay I think he's the best coach in the league. And if Stafford does go down, I can see him scrapping his way with Garoppolo to 9 wins. Like I don't see McVay winning 5 or 6 games. But I think the Rams probably take second, and the 49ers and the Cardinals are battling for third and fourth. Go to the NFC South. I think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to win the division. I think Michael Penix is being pretty underrated by the national media, honestly. Like I don't see a lot of people talking about, oh, the Falcons are going to be really good this year. I don't see a lot of Michael Penix hype. And this might be some like Homer-ism a little bit, but I mean, I think he's definitely special. I think a lot does rely on also Raheem Morris. He had some rough moments as the head coach last year, some rough clock management moments. And I mean, if you have a bad year this year, he's getting kicked to the curb. But that offense should not be able to be stopped. I can see them taking a Chiefs level jump on the offensive side. I mean, in Mahomes' first year starting, something kind of like that. They have Drake London on the outside. Kyle Pitts. Everyone always talks about Kyle Pitts. Is it Kyle Pitts here? I think it is. Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in the whole league. Like, there's no reason this offense shouldn't be scoring 25 points a game, quite frankly. They do need to protect Penix. The interior of the line is solid, but Caleb McGarry just went out for the year at right tackle, so that is unfortunate for them. Bouncing around the division, I think the Bucs are going to be good. I think both those teams are going to make the playoffs. I could see them interchanging. One of them wins the division, one of them doesn't. Take second, it makes the wild card. But I mean, that offense again too. If they can, I don't know when Chris Godwin exactly is going to come back. They didn't put him on the IR, so I think he could play week 1. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, though. I mean, coming off a broken leg, it happened mid last season. But I mean, they drafted Mecca Egbuka, Jalen McMillan, unfortunately out until middle of the season. He had a spinal injury, I believe, in the preseason. Bucky Irving, Rashad White, Baker Mayfield. He's gonna fill a statue. That's 2 great offenses. Those games are gonna be fun to watch. They're gonna be high scoring, back and forth. The Saints. I don't think there's much to say about the Saints. Tyler Shuck not starting. Spencer Rattler. I like Spencer Rattler, but I mean, that it's a bit of a dumpster fire. The Panthers, I think they're going to be a dangerous team. Like you're not going to want to see the Panthers in a game that you have to win. Bryce Young, if he can continue to build off what he did towards the end of last year, that's exactly what you want to see from them. Can he be the guy? I mean, he was benched, but he showed he was the guy that he was drafted to be, the number 1 quarterback for the Panthers. T-Mac, the receiver, first rounder. if they can establish a nice connection, that's what you want to see as a Panthers fan. You want to see a duo that you can watch grow up. Over the NFC North, I think this is definitely, arguably one of the toughest divisions in football. One of the most fun divisions in football, especially. The live odds have shifted for the division. The Lions were favored to win the division, I think around plus 150, and now the Packers are around plus 150. The Lions have went to plus 180, plus 190, I believe. And I think the Lions I think Dan Campbell's, his team's, to the talents there, his team's always going to be able to fight, but it's never easy losing both coordinators in one offseason. Like, that's coaching staff got decimated. I think Jared Goff will be fine. I mean, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud. Amon-Ra is a stud. Laporta is a stud. That offense will be good, but you never know some specific play call, especially early in the season with no Ben Johnson. That's just a lot to getting used to. Obviously, lose Aaron Glenn, too, on the defensive side. But, I mean, that roster stacked. That team, it should be a playoff team. But in this division, a slow start could put you in a really rough spot going into it. We got the Packers, obviously. I want to see something from Jordan Love. I think he does have the tools to be there, to be a top 10 quarterback in the league, but I don't know if I've necessarily seen it. They need a receiver to step up. Is Matthew Golden that guy to step up and be a number one receiver? They got a receiver room full of 2s and 3s. A lot of just the same type of guys too, but Josh Jacobs, great running back, hard runner. In my opinion, I think the Packers win this division. I like Matt LaFleur. I think he's a great coach. I think he's one of the more fun offenses to watch. If you can have Love executing at a high level, that's a dangerous team. And we talk about a dangerous team, Chicago Bears. I am a big Caleb Williams fan. I think that Ben Johnson is going to do wonders for him. I think he's going to be, if he can just put him in this positions that Jared Goff was put in last year. They heavily invested in the offensive line, which they need to do. Stacked receiver room, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden. They draft Colson Loveland at tight end, first round this year. Spend a lot of money on the O-line. If he could make things easy for Caleb, so Caleb can get the easy stuff done, throw the swing passes, throw the flats, throw just the 10-yard outs, just go through your progressions, have his first few progressions open, get the ball out quickly, then that frees Caleb Williams up to do what Caleb Williams can do, to do what the talent that he has to execute at that level, play a little more freely. But you can't do that stuff if you're not executing the quick things. You're not completing the ball on first down. You're not getting yourself into good, favorable situations. So I think that's what it's going to come down to. If Caleb can execute, because he didn't have the strongest preseason in my opinion. I mean, there was some spots where he could have played better, but it's a new system for him. I think week 1 against Minnesota is going to be a great game. Talking about Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, I'm not a huge proponent of J.J. McCarthy, but I don't think it's going to be pretty hard to replicate what Sam Darnold did in that offense last year. Jordan Addison spent the first few games of the year. So obviously, still Justin Jefferson. I'm interested to see what this team. I think definitely due for regression. They're not going to win 13 games, but can McCarthy show you something for the future? Can they win 8-9 games and be sneaking a wild card spot? That week 1 game is going to be fun. It's going to tell you a lot about both teams, Chicago and Minnesota. Getting to the NFC East now. This is a tough one. This is a real tough one. I think obviously the Eagles are a overwhelming favorite to win the division, and I think they do. I mean, you can't really say much about that roster. That roster's the best in football, and Saquon Barkley's healthy. I mean, there's not many people stopping that offense. When Jalen Hurts can rely on Saquon Barkley and then get the ball to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith off the play action game. But Cowboys and Commanders, that battle for second place in the division, that battle for one of those wild card spots, probably, it's going to be tough. Obviously, they got rid of Micah Parsons, but that's just what I don't understand. You get rid of Micah Parsons, but you spend money in the offseason on George Pickens, who we've seen the talents there. Can Dak and Brian Schottenheimer, shout out Brian Schottenheimer, dude. Shout out Brian Schottenheimer. Cannot believe that he is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. But if they can get George Pickens to buy into this offense, I mean, that's one of the best 1-2 duos in the league, and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. A lot of the coverage going up over the top to CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens, he's the guy you want to throw the ball to. Great and contesting catches, one-on-one, throw him the ball. He's going to make plays. I think that's going to fill up the stat sheet. Dak always fills up the stat sheet. Can he do it in big games? I'm not sure. Getting to the Commanders, it's a really old roster. I started the oldest roster in the league. Jaden Daniels, obviously, I'd say he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He showed that last year, but I think this is a little bit of a regression spot. I mean, they obviously made that great run to the NFC Championship game last year, but old roster. I mean, I love Bobby Wagner, but they're still trying him out there at middle linebacker. They signed Von Miller, I believe. Getting Terry McLaurin signed is big, but I mean, I still got Austin Eckler at running back. I think they're due for a little bit of regression there. I mean, obviously you're gonna have one of those teams, Dallas, Washington. One of them's not gonna make the playoffs, and that's gonna be a disappointment for either team. We want to talk about the Giants. I don't really know what they're doing at quarterback. Like, why do you have Jameis Winston, Russ, and Jackson Dart? I mean, Malik Neighbors is there, and it's a pretty bad team. I think Dable's a good coach, but I mean, I don't think they have. I believe I saw they have one of the toughest schedules in the league this year, with like not a great roster. So I mean, I think unfortunately, unless he has one of the best coaching jobs of the year and they win 8-9 games, he probably gets fired, which is unfortunate. But I mean, I don't know why you signed Russ and Jameis. They should trade one of those. I think one of those guys, probably Jameis, will be traded early season when a quarterback goes down after injury, because he should be one of the best backups in the league. But if you're a Giants fan, like, you don't want to see those two. You want Jackson Dart to play. Like, and I guess, like, yeah, you want a vet will start the first few games of the season, but why are you keeping 3 on the roster when you eventually want to see your rookie quarterback? So, I mean, just wrapping up the NFC, I think that it's going to be a slog. This conference is good. There's going to be good teams that do miss the playoffs. Like, if just looking at it, I mean, I think that you got the Seahawks, 49ers, the Rams, Falcons, Bucks. The whole NFC North, I think they are all vying. They all think they're vying for a playoff spot. And then obviously the Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys. That wild card race coming down to it is going to be, it's going to be very entertaining. And I think there's a lot of combination of teams that could make it. And this is a good conference, because I think obviously aside from the Saints, Giants, I mean, aside from the Saints and the Giants, I think every team in this conference, it's a pretty solid football team that has high expectations for themselves. You can throw the Panthers in there, but I think the Panthers think they're going to be better, and that's a dangerous team. So yeah, that's going to do it for my NFC preview. Going to have a fun show on Thursday coming to you Thursday morning. Going to be an AFC preview. Going to be previewing a lot of the NFL games for the weekend, some of the college games, talking some Huskies still. And yeah, give the show a download, share it with your friends. Give me a follow on social media, on X at Collie Diego. I tweet during games, tweet just what I'm thinking. Then give me a follow on Instagram at Diego Collie FB Show. So I'm going to be posting clips there. Going to get some clips coming out on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, etc. So yeah, thank you for watching. Fun show, longer one today. And NFL Week 1 is here. Excited. And I'll talk to you guys on Thursday.